Hello everyone, Outlander here, and today we are going to be continuing our hard mode playthrough of Hollow Knight. Now, if you don't know the rules, please check out my first video. It will make more sense to you then. So anyways, when we left off, we had just defeated the Hollow Knight, but I wasn't satisfied quite yet. I wanted to go for the Radiance, and so now, for those of you who don't know, given what I already had, it was actually pretty easy to get to the Radiance, as in I only needed one thing, the Void Heart, which is a charm that allows you to fight the Radiance. However, getting the Void Heart isn't quite so simple, so first you need to get 2/2 of the King's Soul. So 1/2 requires you to have the Shade Dash, which allows you to dash through some enemies and some barriers and some bullets. And so, to get that though, you also need to get the King's Brand, which you need to defeat Hornet 2 for, and then to get the other half, you need to get the Awoken Dream Nail, use it to complete the whole White Palace, and additionally, you need to get 180 Essence to even get the Awoken Dream Nail, so there were quite a few things in our way. And there was also one thing I really wanted to pick up before fighting the Radiance, and that was the spell called Howling Race, I believe. And so this is just the upwards directional spell, and it was very important for fighting the Radiance because the Radiance always hovers above you, which means she's very open to just getting absolutely blasted by this spell, and it's additionally even the highest damage spell. So that was also pretty useful. So now let's talk about some of the challenges we faced while getting this Void Heart. And so, first off, getting Howling Race was not particularly hard. You just had to fight like some flies. And for those of you who have fought flies in real life, they're not particularly dangerous. And it's pretty much the same in Hollow Knight. So, yeah, that was a cakewalk. Then, let's talk about getting the Shade Cloak. So first, we went to Hornet 2. Now, I thought Hornet 2 was going to be a big threat to me. I was a little worried about it. And so, I went into Hornet 2, ready to lose a lot. However, I won on the first try, which was a very welcome surprise, per se. So then you need to go through the Abyss to get to the Shade Cloak. Now, the Shade siblings, or whatever they're called, did definitely give me some concerns, but I managed to flip on the light switch and get the Shade Cloak. However, the other part, the collecting the essence, wasn't so easy. So the first thing I did was the Lost Kin, and the Lost Kin took a small handful of deaths, but wasn't particularly hard, and that's because it's a fairly well-designed fight, and usually the well-designed fights are easier on behalf of being well-designed, and there's less random crap that you can get screwed to regardless of your skill. Now that's a bit of foreshadowing, because then I tried the failed champion, and he is damn near impossible with this. That's not really true, but I suck too much to beat him. So that was unfortunate. I tried him a lot, like 5 times, and I've even tried him later, and I still have not beaten him, which is very unfortunate. But overall, most of the Dream Warriors were pretty easy just to walk on, like Zero, Galleon, Gorb, Elder Who, No Eyes, Markov, who with floor is not particularly hard. So, eventually we did almost all of that. Now I planned to finish off, this was actually before I had beaten Markov, so I needed one more Dream Warrior, and I thought, why don't I do my biggest mistake of my life? That boss is so incredibly difficult just because it's so annoying, and I just ended up giving up on it. and just beating Bark off. And so then we had got the Awoken Dream Nail. We had not done the White Palace yet, so we had two more big obstacles in our way. The Traitor Lord, who defends half of it, half of the King's King's Soul, and the White Palace, which defends the other half. So, the Traitor Lord was not easy by any walk of imagination. First of all, there's a whole platforming part to get to it. Now this is made a little easier by the fact that you can place a Dream Gate, so you don't have to do that every time. But it's certainly not easy. Add that to the fact that we had not rescued Cloak, so we didn't have her to help out, which was also pretty bad. And the three mantises that you have to fight at the start have a decent amount of health when your nail does 5 damage. So it took quite a while, but eventually we persevered through his dashes and slashes, and we got half of the King's Soul. And now, when we come to the White Palace, you would probably be thinking that it's pretty easy, right? The White Palace? Because I'm someone who has done the White Palace, obviously, to have beaten the game. And it's not any harder. But there's where you're wrong, because normally what makes the White Palace like a lot easier is if you use either Hive Blood or Grub Song and Deep Focus, you can basically have unlimited soul, so you can never die. However, we don't get charms, which adds definitely some challenge to it, as you only have 5 hits to get through the whole palace. Or each leg of the palace, I guess, because you kind of get checkpoints. But anyways, I ended up dying, I believe twice, which kind of sucked because I had to redo it all then. And it's definitely a lot scarier because you can very much lose progress here. You can get to the end and die, and you've gone back a lot. Whereas normally, in normal Hollow Knight, you can't really lose progress except if you're partway through a boss fight and the boss kills you. Like, other than that, you can't lose progress, and that's barely any progress, because normally you just have charms for the palace. So that was pretty hard, but eventually we persevered, and we got to the god amongst gods, except not that boss, because that boss is actually hard. We got to the Radiance, and now the Radiance is a very well designed boss, and we managed to persevere, dash through its beams, dash through its swords, dash through its orbs, and eventually we beat it and took its rightful place. Now, here's where I want to point out something. The Radiance took 2 tries, which just seems wrong. It's not like, and it's not because it was easier than the other bosses, it's mostly just because it was less gimmicky. And this is kind of annoying because the like Nosk took more than 2 tries. Hollow Knight and the Watchers also took 2 tries, but like Flukemar took more than 2 tries, just because of how weird the difficulty is if you are doing this kind of challenge. Some things are ridiculously like unchanged, like Radiance wasn't very hard. So yeah. Anyways, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and in this next video on this series, we will be starting off the Pantheons, and we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you have a wonderful day, and yeah, be happy.